नमस्कार दोस्तों, एड टॉक्स विद अमिताभ में एक बार फिर आपका स्वागत है। Thank you so much for such an overwhelming response in our earlier episodes. We had in our launch episode Mr. Anuj Agarwal from Mumbai. In the very next episode, 2 days back, we had Shabila Bose from Kolkata. And as promised, every alternate days, we are going to have a very eminent educationist amidst us in this talk show. Today, we have Dr. Anita Pauline Dey, straight from Varanasi, connecting to us. She's there waiting in our virtual studio of the School Times. And before I invite her to join us and share the screen with us, just to give a little brief about her life and her credentials. She's an amazing die-hard believer and an optimist. She is heading a school which is almost about 60 years old, W.H. Smith Memorial School in Varanasi, a management graduate who has given almost about 36 to 37 years of her life to the cause of education and society. She is an avid Rotarian and very popular social worker. Even in these lockdown days, as I've been informed that she, along with her husband, Mr. Pradeep Dey, is running a community kitchen along with some of her friends for taking up the cause and helping the lesser privileged in these trying and testing times. Friends, without any further ado, allow me to welcome Dr. Anita Pauline Dey amidst us, sharing the screen with us. Welcome, Anita ji, to Ed Talks with Amitabh.
Namaste, Varnakam, Assalamu alaikum to everyone, to Amitabh and the whole team. It's wonderful to be here. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to be here today along with you.
All right. Ma'am, it's our privilege and honor to have you on our show. And we would like our audience, the vision behind this show is to bring people who are educational influencers and spread awareness so that people can learn from their experiences in these times and even in general life, because these are just few days and few months that we have tough times. Life is much bigger and beyond. So thank you so much for accepting our invite to be with us in our show. I would like to begin with with an inquiry with you that how is this lockdown, or how has it changed or affected your personal life? The school, being a head of a school, how is it affecting you as a professional, your teachers and your children? What is the difference it is making?
My mother used to always say that there's nothing good or bad in life, but it is only thinking which makes it so. And I think that the greatest challenge which is there before us is our thoughts and our minds and how we think of the situation around us. For my husband and me, and also my teachers, let me tell you that initially, after the initial setback in thinking, we all felt that this was a very challenging opportunity. And it was one which needed all of us to think on our toes, literally, as to how we could reach out to children. And at this point, I
Absolutely.
must thank you, Amitabh, that you thought about the education talks and you thought about bringing eminent people like Anuj Agarwal and also Sharmila Bose, who in their own rights, are having so much of information and knowledge and experience, which it would be wonderful. I mean, you're using this platform that you have to share this with people who really need to know about things that are going on and how we all feel.
Thank you so much for saying that. And as I would like to further emphasize your thoughts and take it to people with emphasis. There is nothing good or bad. Your thinking makes it so. And right now, in these lockdown times, how you are managing your thought process is going to be a very important instrument. जैसा आप सोचेंगे वैसे ही आपके आपके दिन बनते चले जाएंगे. And that is what is very, very important to work on during these lockdown times. And I'm sure your teachers at the moment must be doing it, because we are hearing about a lot of online classes and reaching out, and education needs to reach out to people. So how's the response of the parents and all to your school? I mean, tell us a little more about the school philosophy and how you're handling that philosophy during these times.
See, why do parents send their children to school? It is basically because they want them to become equipped with skills so that they can get a good job and they can be lucrative and earn money. And on the other hand,
Absolutely.
they also want the children should be sometimes to
Right.
arrange both, but they are not mutually exclusive. And definitely, it is the role of the school and of education itself, with the teachers being the instrument, to make sure that these traits are inculcated in the children. And for this, schools have, there are many schools which integrate, various cultures and various celebrations of different communities, and bring them together in front of the children, so that children may learn not only about their own culture and community, but also they learn to think or broaden their vision and learn about others. And in our school, that is what we do. We go strictly by the national curriculum framework, as was set initially by, the Kothari Commission, and then now has filtered down to Modi ji, our Prime Minister, taking over and heading the education ministry. And he has been very clear that it is very important to learn Satya, Ahimsa, Prem, or Bhaichara. These are the
Right.
humanitarian traits which have to be inculcated in the Indian child. And
Right.
information or data or knowledge, general knowledge about the various religions, what they teach, who are the people who propagate it, and what are the celebrations which are there, which make up the diversity of our Indian culture, that has to be
Right.
also inculcated through the school curriculum. And I think that this
Right.
is a wonderful, like goal which he has set. And it is very important to always remember that education has to be a combination of knowledge and also of values, because and this cannot go separately. When you give them knowledge, along with the knowledge you have to make sure. So when our teachers start their classes related to the topic which they are going to teach, they hardly take one
Okay.
or 2 minutes, and they, think of a value which can be spoken to the whole class online, and
Right.
children, get hooked. They start listening that what is this the teacher is talking about, and then that brings
Right.
them, it arouses their interest and curiosity, and then the teacher proceeds to the nitty gritty of the subject which he's going to teach: history, geography, science, whatever it is. And it is important that we should also inculcate in children a feeling of integrity. And it's very important
Right.
that it's difficult, and I mean, new teachers ask that how are we going to inculcate these, how are we going to do the integrity bit? So we have to raise in the children, or rather arouse in the children, this feeling of questioning.
Right.
Youth, along with the social media, is creating havoc in the country. You cannot
Right.
stereotype. Look at the positive side of it, the other side of the coin. The children have to be taught, or rather, it has to be inculcated in them to always put a question mark, never to accept
Right.
stereotypes as they are being touted by people. Like anyone sees saffron, they start thinking, oh, now we are going to be suppressed by majority. No, the saffron
Right.
does not mean that. Saffron means a different thing for different people. It's your perspective. So education is the
Perspective
key,
too.
which is going to, yes, yes. And about perspective, I think that you are a person who's qualified more than me to talk about perceptions and
No,
perspectives.
but then your experience is very, very important. And I would like to emphasize further the takeaway from what you said just now that triggered my mind for emphasis. Friends, in education, it has to be information and values to be taken together hand in hand. Because as somewhere I've read that information is power, and if the power does not have appropriate ethics blended with it, appropriate values blended with it, it can have a lot of misuse of it. And a lot of debate about how corona has originated, what is right or what is not, we don't know. But then if what is being anticipated is right, it is information without values, which is creating the havoc that we all are experiencing right now, if all the anticipations are to be taken in, right? Of
Uh,
course. Ji Anita, your take on that.
yes. So the thing is here, I would like to quote something which Karl Marx has said. He says that discover the truth for yourselves. He says this to the youth. And everyone is being bombarded on social media, as you have very rightly pointed out, regarding the coronavirus and so many things. So why doesn't everyone who is so internet savvy and social media savvy go onto the net and learn to discern what is the correct information? Not only that, there are so many reports, and they are from very authentic backgrounds of World Health Organization and leading universities of the world. So instead of listening to hearsay, it is important that the youth of today learn to put a question mark, and they should discover the truth for themselves. And he always urged, Karl Marx always used to urge that every youth, every person, young person has to discover his own goal according to what he wants to do. And
Right.
this question mark is very important in today's day. So,
In fact, I
teachers and school principals normally,
right.
teachers and school
I would
principals
like to
normally
emphasize here,
hesitate to.
Anita ji, I'm just taking a bit to
Hmm.
emphasize that I think today the signal connectivity is a bit of an issue, but then to emphasize further for everybody's benefit, like Anita ji quite rightly pointed out to us, these information overload right now also. Too much of information, we don't know what is right and what is wrong. And there are a lot of people who are using the social media, the myths are being communicated, more fear psychosis being generated, a lot of information and data is being given a religious tone to it or a communal tone to it. I think we need to be very, very careful about forwarding them, because we need to have our own value to look at them, and we should use our own value ethics and inquiry and check the truth ourselves, as highlighted by you just now. Here, this brings me to ask you. I've always, your school talks about PANCHTATVA.
Yes.
So, can you throw some light
The
on
Panch Tattva is
PANCHTATVA? How
something. The Panch Tattva is a philosophy for life which applies to each and everybody. And we try and tell the children about this. And of course, they are free to use or not use it, but many do, and especially my teachers. And P is for perseverance, prayas, lagatar prayas karo, never give up. And
Okay.
A is for developing an attitude, the correct attitude. N is for nurturing the thoughts. It's very important that children should not exist in a limbo. They must read about the biographies of people before them. They must read, different what scientists have done, what people have done, and they must learn from their experiences. And C is for the compassion, the inner space, which is very, very important. That again, coming back to humanity, that every person must have or discover that feeling of compassion for a fellow human being, even if it's in your own home and within your own family. And then the last is
Right.
honesty. Above all, unto thyself be true. So, at a time like this, as you pointed out, when we are being bombarded with meteorites of information about the coronavirus, I think that children, especially addressing children, from lower and middle school, are very confused. What's going on? Why are the grown ups talking about these things? So, at this time,
Right.
it is very important that the nurturing and the compassion and attitude and the perseverance of the parent and the teacher is very important. The PANCHTATVA.
Absolutely.
And only when
And
you will use these elements and put it into your talk when you are dealing with the children, then their confusions may be cleared away. But at the present moment, when we are talking about the, this thing, people tend to be to color their decisions and their talks with being, pro something and anti something. And this can, create a conflict in the mind of the children. And the confusion sometimes leads to children going in a direction which parents don't want, teachers don't want, and definitely society doesn't want. So it is very
right.
important that we should watch our language ourselves and we should watch what we say. Even if we are feeling very strongly about something, it would be good to water down the language and make sure, especially now when we are within the confines of our home and not outside, and
Right.
children are listening to us. It is important that
Right.
we use words such a way, like constructive words, so that even if it is a
Right.
minus point which we are talking about, a negative we are talking about, we present it in such a way that the child should come to the conclusion कि ये करना है या नहीं करना है. And this brings us back, Amitabh, again to the questioning. We have to inculcate the skill of questioning, the skill of communication. The child has to be a very good listener, and normally they do listen. But the older people, the
Right.
adults in the house, don't listen. They do not listen to their children, and they do not want to give time to listen. They start talking about something else and they don't want to
Right.
listen. So it is very important that
Absolutely. And I, they, I think there's a little loss of signal here. Friends, Anita ji has been emphasizing for all of us just now. We just got a little disconnect. I'm sure that she is going to get back to us once again. It was very, very enriching. Right now, she was emphasizing on the point that there is a need for inquiry based learning, and this inquiry based learning is something which is going to uh, is the need of the hour, and at the same time the punch that the values that of perseverance, the values of patience that the school students have all taken up is what she has been emphasizing and are so very relevant. And I think the punch which is being practiced uh, in the Panchat which is being practiced in W.H. Smith School is going to be very relevant during these lockdown days as well. Anitaji, we lost the signal a bit, and there was a disconnect. you're back with us. You were emphasizing during this time that inquiry-based learning is the need of the hour. And you have very beautifully narrated the PANCHTATVA to all of us for our benefit. And I was just emphasizing for the audience that the PANCHTATVA that you talked about, I think they are the values that we need during these lockdowns as well. I'm sure students who have passed out from your school will find it much more easier because they've been ingrained with these values during their educational years itself. So a lot of compliments for you to that. I would, before we go on to certain more serious issues, I would like to the audience to know some interesting experience that you have. I'm sure that a lot of people have joined us right now. We have Sarah Rath, we have Ilu Pathak, we have Vinu Singh, we have Mr. Arun, Ms. Ba Fatima. We have a lot of people who have joined us, and I'm sure they're all benefiting from your presence here. We have Aarti Kapoor, Nilesh Jain, Mayuri. So a lot of people are there, and I'm sure many of them may be students, many of them may be teachers, as well as parents. I would like to know that being, what were some interesting experiences as a head of the school, some interesting, challenging experiences that you have faced?
Oh, there are many, but there are some which I would like to definitely share. One problem that principals face, especially new and young ones like I was when I joined as a principal 27 years back. There are children who always come from different backgrounds. Some of the parents, they sometimes have a slightly criminal background, and or they have a sort of a very aggressive background. And so when the children come to school, they are reflecting the language and body language and the way of talking and dealing with people in the way that they see their parents do it, because the parent is a role model. So what
Right,
happens is that it becomes difficult, because in the class when you have got so many children and the teacher is trying to, inculcate in them all the values and not being able to do it, the good behavior, and
right,
they want to have that attention. So I found that one very effective way was, without letting the children know that we had formed a group with them, we would take
okay,
them out for social service. Like, for example, once the Rotary people had organized, a day in which they had distributed these calipers to polio patients and cycles to people who didn't have limbs, and hearing aids to differently abled people. And we reached that site. There were about 15, 16 boys, basically, and a few girls. And we reached the site at about 8:30. And the whole day till 4:30, the boys were just helping to unload all these materials, and cycles from the truck and put it down. And they were watching how it was being, the dismantling had to be, uh, everything was dismantled, so everything had to be put together. And then the joy of the person, the differently able person who was receiving, and the
right.
way they were folding their hands and thanking everyone. And those children were in
Beautiful.
tears when they came back in the evening. And I made a point, I said, you have to share at assembly. So they shared at assembly and verbalized their experience, and actually they were crying. And that made me realize that this was a wonderful way, of making them. Then we always celebrate, like for the last 20 years, we've been recognized by Helpage India for our work with the elderly, with the senior citizens. So we always have a free medical camp. And initially, so many children would not volunteer. Now we have such a crowd, we have to stagger them. We tell them, okay, ek ghante ki shift mein kaam karo, because there's so many
Right.
volunteers and we don't need so many children, 40 at the most. And they all want to be there. Then they bring their grandparents, and they are so happy, to be over there and doing this work. And they forget about all the other, the misbehavior, the dirty language, and their concentration. Many of them have gone on to become, social workers. There is one
Okay.
such student I had who was from, his mother had died when he was only 9 years old. And the father
Okay.
brought him and said to me that अगर आप इसका ध्यान नहीं देंगी, इस बच्चे का एडमिशन कहीं भी
Mm-hmm.
नहीं हो रहा है, किसी स्कूल में भी नहीं हो रहा है,
Right.
आप भी अगर मना कर देंगी and you don't take this child, he is going to turn into a criminal because I will not educate him and he is going to be a loafer. He's going to be a lout. So I said, no, you can't do that. We took in the child, and today that child is a doctor. And he has
Okay.
married a girl also from a background in which they have both struggled and they're both doctors. And look, from where the father had said that he's going to be a liability on society, he has become a person who's serving society. And
That's
that
amazing.
is
That's
the
so beautiful.
transformation. The one thing Yes, education has to be transformative. It is not only about teaching history, geography, physics, chemistry, and math. It is about transformation. The child has to change from within. And Amitabh, I must tell you that in all these years, 20 years which we have worked with HLS, with human learning systems, and you and your team have been coming, and Mrs. Neelam Rakesh has also been there. And the support that you have given us all these years has helped us to achieve a lot of what we had envisioned, which is not easy. You see, nowadays there are so many new, companies bombarding you with so many, carrots they dangle. You can
Right.
do this, you can do that. I would say that you should stick to one person or one organization who will learn you completely and know about your vision and mission. And once that happens and there is a sort of an amalgamation, of thoughts, then you will always get a support and help like we have had from you, my teachers, my students, everyone, and many of the things we've achieved. Even the PANCHTATVA, I remember that when I was, having random thoughts, it was you who sat for 2 days with me and you helped me to, like, streamline these thoughts. So, I mean, it has been
It's
wonderful, this
so
journey we've had with HLS, and we continue with it.
it's so heartening to hear your acknowledgement, Anita ji. But we have been really we enjoyed this journey working with W.A. Smith and you. We have also matured and grown in the journey as well. And I very candidly remember the days when we were trying to revisit the mission and the vision statement of Smiths, and that's when we created this Panchtatva together
Yes,
that time. And today, I think it is ingrained into the complete system of Smiths, and every teacher is ensuring that when children pass out, these Panchatatvas are part of their life and personality as well. It's and so good to hear the vision that you have, and you quite rightly pointed out. It is very important. It is not about the theory and the concept. It is about applying that in a context, in a school. So one has to understand the body, one has to understand the school and the people. Only then the alignment becomes a possibility. So thank you so much for acknowledging HLS association
uh,
with your esteemed institution.
and there is one thing which is coming to my mind, which I would like to share, and that is that that now pointer in education has to take a new direction. You know,
Right,
like when you tell the child that the compass points north, don't tell him, give him a compass and tell him, okay, the whole day you're free, now go and find out from which direction the sun is rising and which direction the sun sets. So the child
right,
is doing the discovery. So during this time when we have been hit by this coronavirus or any malady that comes up or any like situation like this, how does
right,
education play a role in pointing
right,
or changing the thinking of the child? The child has
right.
to now think that what is my priority? And it has to be
Right,
health, not only my own health, starting with myself, like
right,
keeping the Lakshman Rekha of not leaving my house home because
right,
my government and the doctors and everyone and the elders are saying so. So their experience counts. So I have to
In
listen
fact,
to it, not flout it, like a disobedient thing. But at the same time, when I become a decision maker after I finish my education, what are the type of decisions do I make? So at that time, from now on only, we have to tell the child prioritize. Now, up to now, we have not been bothering about the health sector. We have not been bothering about the common man. We only think
right,
about, okay, I can afford to have a bypass surgery. I'm not bothered about if my servant who serves me is able to get that heart surgery done. You know,
right,
so we
absolutely.
have to help the children change their thinking now and give a priority. Like instead of buying squadrons of fighter planes, especially now after
Right.
this coronavirus hitting the whole world, I think war, even the United Nations has said that all types of conflict have to stop all over the world. So all skirmishes, all the wars, look at the positive side of this coronavirus. There are no wars
There's
going on now.
profit.
Nothing is
Yeah.
going on. There's peace. There's peace in the whole world. See,
You know,
so
we
so the
always,
children have to think about prioritizing, and instead of buying planes, fighter planes, they have to think about health, getting health equipment and proper infrastructure.
and you quite rightly pointed out that there are a lot of perspectives that needs to be understood. There's a lot of positives about it. And before we take it on further, while you were talking about it, I was reminding, remembering a few days, 2 3 days back, what my son was saying. But before I share that and take this further, I would, there are a lot of people who have joined as our audience right now. They are listening to us live right away on the School Times page. And I would like, with your permission, to encourage if anyone on what we are discussing or anything else that you would like to know from the what we are talking about, and any other perspective which you would like us to talk about, or any inquiry you would like to make. Anita ji has been saying that learning has to be inquiry based. So if you have any inquiry you want to make, please feel free to write your queries in the chat box that you are registering your presence at the moment. And taking it further, when you were talking about giving that individuality to the child, and I was very intrigued. You know both my children. My daughter is 13 plus. My son is 7 plus. And so my son one of the days said, "Papa, मेरे को कोरोना तो नहीं हो सकता, और हम लोगों को नहीं हो सकता." I said, "Why it will not happen, beta? Why do you? It's good you are saying हाँ नहीं होगा, but then ऐसी क्या बात है? तुमको क्यों लगता है कि नहीं होगा?" पापा, ये जो खांसी जुकाम है, ये तो नॉर्मल फ्लू में भी होता है, लेकिन कोई फॉरेन पर्सन से कांटेक्ट बहुत जरूरी है. और so I was amused. I said, "Oh, where did you get it?" So he said कि पापा वो टीवी में symptoms दिखाते रहते हैं. I just heard that and went on the internet also and checked it, and I was amused that I was so happy that he was uh, ignoring all those malicious information getting circulated, and just taken sifted out the relevant one. And I think that kind of individuality and independence, if the children start building up, they use the right use of technology. In fact, just in the previous episode also, I would like to bring it and emphasize it further. We all in the education sector have been worried about screen time, computer, mobile, etc., etc., and the children misusing that. I think during these lockdown times, children will learn more constructive ways of using the screen and the digital resources that is available to them, because these online classrooms and all, everything is going to occupy more constructive screen time. So a lot of things are going to change for them as well. And here, I would like to also, like to take it forward that you have talked about positives just before I encourage people if they have any queries and questions to ask. Um, you were talking about US and other, lot of wars being lesser. And I know that you have done your PhD at an age when people say कि अरे भैया पढ़ना लिखना हम कितना और करेंगे, and that was a time when you were motivated and enthusiastic to uh, take up the education and register yourself with Banaras Hindu University with a very eminent supervisor and get your doctorate done while running a school, managing so many children and the teacher under your stewardship, and then taking up the challenge of doing a PhD. And the topic also was a very unique topic, which one of the pioneering researches you have done, inter-religious peace through education and education, whatever is the specific topic. I would like to ask a series of questions on that. Number one, what motivated to you take up the education again at uh, that age and stage of life? And friends, we have just lost the signal again. We are. We'll wait for Anita ji to join in. While we have these, let me see if any query is there. We were just going into the her area of interest and PhD so that we can get into more inquiries for everyone's benefit. So, friends, we have Indrani Guha saying, "Well said, ma'am. Education must be must be transformative. When our seniors say this, it carries a lot of weight." Thank you, Indrani ji, for reinforcing the same. We have Neelam Chandra. You just said it just the right way of showing right path to our children. Friends, we have a little bit, working from home. Technology and the internet connectivity is giving us a bit of glitch, but then it is not going to affect our spirits. We have Anita ji back with us in our studio. Anita ji, we lost the signal a bit, and we have you back here. We have a lot of, I was inquiring about your research. My first question was, what prompted you to take up research at
Yes.
that age and stage, that to a topic like this, and what learnings can we take from there? I would like the audience to really benefit from that.
See, I have a contention that education needs to communicate to deliver knowledge, not prejudice. And religion is one of the basics of building prejudice in the human mind. There are many others, but religion is also one
Right,
of them. And there
right,
is no need actually for religion to divide. Religion should unite.
right,
And the only reason why religion is dividing people is like it's like going into a room with no lights on. You're standing at the
right,
door and you have
right,
all your beliefs around you. So you're in the light. You're in the light of your own belief, of whichever religion you follow. But the other religions are all inside that dark room. So now when you step into the dark room, you're lost. You're disoriented. You don't know. And
right,
whatever comes at you, you think is evil, is like hitting out at you. So it's a
right,
very simple school level thinking, but I would like to just explain it that way. So if you want to stop being scared and skeptical about things in that dark room, it is important you put on the light. Put on the light inside that room
right,
and study what is there. And that means looking at all the religions. You don't have to follow the religion. Don't follow the religion. You follow your own religion. But there is no harm
right,
in just learning who are the people who propagated the religion and the people who are there, what are they believing. Now, for example, during this
right,
coronavirus, attack that we've had, and people who've been doing social
right,
service, let me tell you that over here in Varanasi, we have weavers who are Muslims as well as Hindus, and we have carpet
right,
weavers as well. So you have a lot of
right,
Muslim families also who are well to do, and they are making dry ration packets and supplying them to the remote areas where government people cannot reach. They are not
Right.
labeling those packets that this is this one or that one. They're just reaching out that this human being needs help. And let me tell you that Islam teaches about Iman and about Diniyat, that is helping the common man, Deen. And when
Right.
you study Hinduism, when you study Jainism, and you study any religion, even Christianity, it is always about
Right.
serving humanity, always about reaching out.
Right.
How can you be a good Christian? You have to be Christ like. And to be Christ like,
Right.
you have to learn to serve. He used to wash the feet of his disciples. How many of us
Right.
do that today? So now, how do we deliver this to the children? When we lost a connection just now, it just struck me
Right.
that it emphasizes what I want to say. You don't need to only have visuals. You can also have
Right.
audio, and children very
Absolutely.
easily can listen to the audio. It is very good, and that is how they learn to develop the skill of becoming a good listener. Good listening is very important. And then after that, you have to also learn, the children learn then, if supposing an internet connection is lost, so they step back
Right.
from the picture
Right.
and they look at it from a different point of view. Acha, I have lost a signal, but I can hear sir or ma'am's voice, or I can talk to my friend on the phone and find out
Right.
and what I missed in that lesson. I can see the
Absolutely.
handout, which is there. So I go to the website and I do it. So there are opportunities, and the children also learn never to give up. You see, if
And
you
I think,
lose connection, like we did just now, and I just shut down my computer and walked away, that would be giving up. But I didn't give up. I was there, and this is bound to happen with us. We have to be used to it, Amitabh.
and I think within every difficult moment there is an opportunity, and I latched on that opportunity and used it to summarize the points that you were sharing at that point of time. And and I also refer to some of the questions which have already been popped up to us. We have the two questions which are right in front of me on the screen right now. I'm reading it. We have Avnish Mohan and Rashmi Srivastava asking almost similar question. Are we looking at online schooling as a big time coming in? I mean, a format of schooling may change in times to come. What is going to be the future of education after this phase? And then we have Rashmi Srivastava ask further a similar kind of perspective. Will there be a change in education system after this corona problem is over? So I think people would like to hear your perspective on the same.
Yes, actually, before the coronavirus, about 2, 3 years back, already my husband and I were talking and discussing about virtual classrooms. And
Right,
we've always thinking about it. I'll tell you why. Some children have this problem of absenteeism. We've had children who were
right,
suffering from cancer, who had a spinal problem, who had some other problem, and they were not able to come to school, but their minds were
right,
alive and they wanted to come to school. And we used to constantly discuss how can we create a virtual classroom. And I think that what educationists who were thinking about the future were dreaming of and thinking of, that has become a reality. Of course, we don't want it to be such a harsh reality that all of a sudden it's landed in our lap. But
right. Absolutely.
definitely, we have to in future think about virtual classrooms, and I think that it's an excellent step in the right direction, because you get the attention of all the people or the children, not only children but adults. Adult literacy, which is one of the focuses of Rotary also all over the world. You also get adults who come online. You get parents who sit with their children and they are watching the classes, and they are taking advantage of how beautifully the classes are going on. I would like to share, my daughter, the youngest one, she's deaf and she's in BFA second year. Now she has not been, in any case, she can't hear the lectures, but her
Right,
teacher has gone online and he is doing the line drawing for her. and she
Okay.
watches his hand movement on the paper and she copies it. Can you believe that
Okay.
in the classroom where there must have been about 50 children, he would not have been able to give her that individual attention? But now, when he's doing it, all the 50 students who are online are watching that personally and they are getting that attention. So, definitely, to answer your question, coming back to your question, that it is going to be there in big time, even if we beat the coronavirus, which I'm sure we do, and things get back or limp back to normal, we should still do contingency planning. And I think that 1 or 2 days in the week should be devoted to virtual classrooms in which children should know that today we are not going to school, but we are going to have virtual teaching today.
And I think listening to you and I got a chance to ponder on this query while you were sharing your experience and your opinion about it. I also feel that it's going to bring about one more major shift in our Indian context. A lot of schools, I mean, we as being part of running schools for different clients and providing that supervision and guidance there, we often have been wondering that so many activities in between coming up. Suddenly, some guidelines come from the council or the CBSE, and some activities have to be done, and that is taking away the academic class time, and some holidays being declared. There are a lot of teaching time. I think this virtual learning and experience, which is taking place, is going to compensate as a first step in a big way in those contexts to begin with. Of course, virtual classrooms will cannot be an absolute replacement of real life experience, because as the learning is primarily from the experience, and only 20% from what is taught by the parents and the teachers in the classroom. So that experience cannot be given in a virtual environment. Of course, learning can be given, subject knowledge can be imparted. So there will be a blend and a balance that is going to come up. And yes, as you quite rightly said, there is going to be a major change and a shift that is going to come up there.
Yes,
Now,
there is going to be a
let me.
paradigm shift, and I feel that even the syllabi have to be accordingly changed, and the lesson plans which the teachers make now will have to go in a new
Right,
direction. And not only that, the
right,
B.Ed classes, the Bachelor of Education classes, the people who are making of the
right,
syllabus for training teachers will now have to put in a full
right,
paper all the element of developing virtual teaching. I think that would
right.
be very much necessary in our country if we want to progress.
Right. Now there is one more question, which I would like to take up and respond, because this is something a lot of parents are talking about these days. That it is said that using Zoom is not advisable because there is a lot of security risk which is there. I just read this question and I think it has gone up. Uh, I would just respond. I'm not able to read the name of the person, but the query has come up. I would like to say that first of all, yes, there were certain challenges which are being talked about. We got to hear it from the media. There are a lot of news channels, and there are a lot of guidelines which have come up. And lately, I've noticed Zoom is also providing certain checks, and no new features have been added so that it can provide better protection, that nobody can just crawl into it without the permission of the host. All those features are being added. There's a waiting room feature, and those kind of things are being added. So make better use of the technology, equip yourself and learn yourself about it. Regarding the data and our IP address being shared in the black net area, which is being talked about, I would say that, friends, right now the app, which if you use technology, you're always vulnerable. So how judicious you are, how that is going to be very important. There are I would say, since the time this apprehension have been raised, a lot of corrections and advanced features have been added. I won't say that Zoom has become safe, because it's only the government bodies is authorized to say whether it is safe or unsafe. But I would say there are features added, and it would provide some due protection. Besides that, there's so many other mediums which are there. You have Google Classrooms are there. You have Team Link there. You have Microsoft Team is there. There's so many apps are available now which can be explored as an alternative. So Zoom is just a name to a technology for connecting to people. So whether you use Zoom or you use TeamLink or you use Microsoft Team or you use Google Classroom, they're all different. It's like एक समय पे हम लोग हर नीले साबुन को सर्फ बोलते थे और हर पीले साबुन को निरमा. So it's not about Zoom, it is not about TeamLink. It's the app or the software which you think is comfortable for you and you can judiciously use the same is the one that should be used by you. We have not many people. My child Aradhya Singh is watching you, of course. Amitesh Singh Sonu has mentioned. I'm sure must be a student in your school. We have Vinod Kesri, virtual classes help for student. So Vinod Kesri is talking about virtual classes help for student as well as physically challenged students. Really a measure that can change education system. We have a query from Neelam Chandra. You just mentioned listening. I agree, it's very important. Children who don't perform well in class are often who have underdeveloped listening skills. Will this digital class help in the same context?
Yes, definitely. It will help because if you have the visual, then of course it is a new and intriguing thing for the child to watch the teacher or the person who is giving the knowledge or information to watch the person doing it. And then supposing the visual is lost or it's an audio, then child is
Right.
sitting quietly at home and listening. And it is not necessary that the child listens at a particular time. Maybe he's not in the mood. I tell the teachers that remember one thing, the learning will only take place when the child is in the frame of mind that he wants to accept what is being said to him. So at any time, maybe, children initially, they are very happy with all the free time and holidays. But a point comes, I have done an experiment in which I have seen that little ones, lower nursery, we didn't give them any lessons at all. And after a month, they came up and they said, अब ABCD तो सिखाओ, हम लोग कितना खेलेंगे, you know. So you see, that is the child's mind. So those who don't do in the class, are hiding and they don't want to listen. But here it's there already. It's online and they are going to be listening because there's nobody around them. Mummy is there, maybe in another room, Papa is there, some servant is around or maybe not around, alone in the room the child is sitting. And child is getting bored
Right.
because the whole day there's nothing to do. The online class is only for 2 hours maximum, half an hour of each subject. So then maybe a couple of days won't listen, but then after that, I am telling you through experience, the child will listen all the skills. And once a child gets hooked onto listening, then it becomes very difficult to give up that habit. 40 days you practice, you're a psychologist,
Absolutely.
it becomes a habit. Yes.
And you to add to what you have said, Neelamji, I would like to add a perspective to it. What you said, uh, we this something very interesting which we in academic circles are these days are talking that Zoom, the kids are very, particularly the middle and the junior classes, kids are very excited to see the faces of their classmates on the Zoom and or any other classroom, virtual classroom medium which is used. And they are eagerly waiting for their teachers because पहले 10 दिन के लॉकडाउन में जितने खिलौने थे सब खेल चुके, अब उनसे भी बोर होने लगे. This is the first time I said it, shared it with a lot of lighter way input with my teaching fraternity friends कि भाई अगर लाइफ में कभी बच्चों ने आपकी क्लास का इंतजार किया था तो वो अब है, because that is what is going to bring about the change, and that is going to bring about a lot of change in the receptivity of the child. And children are excited about showcasing their skills and recording it, sending it to the teachers. But all that is happening. So I'm sure is going to be a boon in disguise for learning and receptivity and listening for a lot of people. Here we have Rashmi Srivastav asking a question that I would take it up rather at my level. What will happen to the leftover exams? Rashmi ji, nobody can say that at the moment, because the governing council, the ISC council, or the CBSE council, or the government will have to take the call, and in accordance with the all the lot of policies will be modified at what can be done about the same. So all the parents will have to have patience to get a call, because they cannot expect any school head or any school management to answer this question until unless a clearance and the governance directive come from the the appropriate council or the board or the government authorities. So I don't think that we will be in the right position to answer this question at this platform. And of course, I would not like to get into any such statement which can be taken against us as well. But that's in a lighter vein. But then that's the harsh reality. Uh, there are
Amitabh, if
a
I
lot
may
of
say
people.
one thing,
Yeah,
yeah, I
yeah,
just
please.
wanted to say one thing, that more than half of Silicon Valley is Indian people from Indian backgrounds. You mean to say that our
Yeah,
Indian students or our bigwigs thinking geniuses cannot come up with an app
right,
which can be used by the government, completely,
right,
applied to every institution, right from the lower, nursery right up to the higher studies, in which online testing can take place. And I tell you, it is a
right,
reality. They just need to put the right people in the right place and optimize the resources that we have got. And there are so many thinking minds in our government, and I think that we who are in the education sector need to make a demand right now that the work
right.
should start, and we should in another year's time at least, and it can be done. I tell you, it's not impossible, it can be done. A very simple
And
online testing app can be developed and free of charge for all schools right across, whether government, CBSE, ICSE, state board.
I think that is going to eventually we can expect, and the thought is now seeded right here at this platform. I'm sure it's going to reach out to the right circles in times to come. And at a school level, a lot of schools are already working on creating the online assessment platforms. Teachers are innovating themselves, so I'm sure a lot of things will happen in due course of time. Here, Akarsh Mehta says that children hesitate in times asking doubts on virtual platform, how to handle such situation. Akarshji, don't worry. We all are new to this experience. Teachers are new to this experience. Students are new to this experience. As a few more days will pass by, everyone will get acclimatized, and these kind of teething issues will get reduced. So not to worry about it. Don't be anxious about that. In due course of time, a lot of people will uh, children will also start asking questions. Anita ji, it's
Yes.
it's always a pleasure to talk to you, and we can go on, and
Same
not
here.
we will not be able to end it for another hour. But then all good things have to come to an end. We're restricted by time. So I would like at the end, what what is it that message or experience that you would like to share and leave our audience with?
I would like to be very simple about one thing, that you must listen. As I kept pointing out, you must be a good listener, number one. And you must always begin with the end in mind. We must always teach children and teachers and everyone actually around us that what is the eventual goal? Where do you want to be? And only when you know where you want to be can you then plan the steps and make use of whatever you have. Don't think about things you don't have, but think about those things which you have. And definitely, if we do that, then all types of conflict would be avoided in our lives. And be calm. I think our Indian system of doing yoga and meditation is one of the best formula for everyone, from every child right up to elderly senior citizen. I would encourage everyone to do that. And remember that everything starts in your mind. Your mind is the field, the fertile field where you are sowing the seeds of your own, knowledge and feelings. So that is what I encourage everyone, and students and teachers. And teachers, don't get worried. Everyone is making a fresh start. So are you. And if any mistakes are made, you always learn from one's mistakes and help each other. It's teamwork. It's leading. Create more leaders and do it with teamwork. Together, everyone achieves more. I always say that, and that is what I would like to emphasize, Amitabh.
Thank you so much for this thought that together everyone achieves more, and that's how the team works. And right now, in these difficult circumstances, teachers have, I would say, like we appreciate doctors, nurses, paramedics, police walas, the forces. It's time that we also appreciate and acknowledge another COVID warriors who are braving and helping parents to help their children, their education, not to suffer and continue at this point of time, working hard, moving out of their convenience zone. And so, salute to all the teachers, all the educationists, all the heads of institution who are right now working all possible things and all possible ways to ensure that children get a right routine. We are getting a lot of feedback from parents that since the time the virtual classes have started, children have started getting up in good time in the morning, and so routine is much better, which is going to keep them healthy, both physically and intellectually. And friends, uh, before I thank Anita ji, in my last episode, Sharmila ji has reminded me and has said that Mr. Mohan, this episode and these episodes cannot go without MKF. That is Mohan Ka Funda, and so you should be sharing Mohan Ka Funda. So I'll be coming up every time with a Mohan Ka Funda. But in this one, I would just like to share a thought. You can take it as a funda as well. Friends, there are a lot of people at the moment thinking as the days are passing by, जैसे जैसे दिन बीत रहे हैं, हम में से बहुत लोग सोच रहे होंगे कि अभी तक कुछ नहीं हुआ तो शायद अब भी कुछ ना हो. फ्रेंड्स, आप में से कई लोग होंगे जो ये सोच रहे होंगे कि मैं तो जवान हूँ, मैं यंग हूँ, और कोरोना इज more people with the immunity issues are more vulnerable. अभी तक कोरोना को किसी ने भी जाना नहीं है, समझा नहीं है. एंड फ्रेंड्स, अगर आप थोड़ा एडवेंचरस होने की सोच रहे हैं इस समय, और आप सोच रहे हैं मैं जरा बाहर चला जाता हूँ, थोड़ा सा देख के आ जाता हूँ, थोड़ा पीठ सीधी कर लेता हूँ, प्लीज डोंट गेट एडवेंचरस, बिकॉज ये कभी भी हमारे अपने बारे में तो था ही नहीं. इट्स नेवर बीन अबाउट अस. क्योंकि हम बाहर जाएंगे, हो सकता है हमको कोरोना से कुछ ना हो, लेकिन वो जो कोरोना के वायरस को लेके हम घर आएंगे, वो हमारे घर में हम कैरी करेंगे. इट्स नेवर बीन अबाउट अस. ये अपने बारे में कभी था ही नहीं, ये अपनों के बारे में था. आई रिपीट, टेक दिस MKF टुडे फ्रेंड्स. ये करो, घर में रहना ये अपने बारे में नहीं है, ये अपनों के बारे में है. स्टे होम, stay safe, because that is the only medicine that we know. Our own behavior management is the only medicine which we have available right now to fight with corona. So we'll keep coming as promised with every alternate day during these lockdown times with an eminent educational influencer. We were extremely privileged to have Mrs. Anita Pauline Dey from Varanasi straight to us, connecting in our studios here and live to you all. Thank you so much, ma'am, for being with us. In our very next episode, we have another very eminent influencers, and I would invite you also, Anita ji, to join us in that Ed Talks with Amitabh as well. We are going to have, friends, we had the first episode, we had Mr. Anuj Agarwal, who's a director, promoter of Credo Word and Delhi Public School Panvel in Mumbai. Then we had Sharmila Bosji, who has been the principal of a school. Today that is from Kolkata. Today we had Anita ji from Varanasi, who has seen the word from both the sides, as a teacher, as a principal, and also as a owner and a promoter of a school. And in the next episode on Friday, same time at 4 o'clock, we are going to have Mr. Bhavin Shah, CEO of Education World, with us live to talk to all of us and share his experience and insight with all of us. So thank you so much, Anita ji, for being with us on this show. God bless, take care, and everyone, please stay home and stay safe. This is
Thank
Amitabh
you.
Mohan signing out from the School Time Studios.